My dear friends, life will always test us. People will talk, circumstances will challenge, and storms will try to shake us. But remember this truth: nothing can touch the soul that stands anchored in God. When you walk with faith, when you know your worth is given by the divine, no insult can break you, no failure can define you, and no situation can control you. The most powerful person in this world is not the one who conquers others, but the one who conquers his own reactions. Today, let's learn how to live a life where nothing on the outside has the power to disturb the peace within. We live in a world where people are quick to judge, quick to criticize, and quick to disturb our inner balance. But the question is, why do we allow the outside world to have such control over our happiness? When we depend on people's opinions, on temporary situations, or on material success for peace, we become weak. But when we root ourselves in God's strength, in higher wisdom, and in inner awareness, we become unshakable. Today, I want to share with you the secret of living as if nothing affects you, not because life will stop testing you, but because you will rise above it with divine power. There is a deep truth that many of us often forget in the noise of daily life. Peace is not something we find outside. Peace is something we carry within. And that peace becomes unshakable when we anchor ourselves in God's presence. Think about the sea. On the surface, waves rise and crash, storms disturb the water, and tides shift endlessly. But in the depths of the ocean, there is stillness, silence, and calm. Life is exactly like this. On the surface, there will always be disturbances, arguments, misunderstandings, losses, pressures, deadlines, and struggles. But if your soul is anchored in God, if you are connected to the divine within, you live in that depth where nothing can disturb your inner balance. In daily life, people often depend on others for their sense of worth. If someone praises us, we feel like we are flying. If someone criticizes us, we feel crushed. But ask yourself, is your value really defined by their words? Or is it given by the one who created you? When you walk with the awareness that God has made you unique, that your existence itself is a part of His plan, no voice outside can belittle you. You know your worth is not for sale, and your dignity cannot be borrowed. Imagine this: a child walking with his father in a crowded marketplace. The world is loud, people are pushing, noises are everywhere. But the child holds the father's hand tightly, and nothing scares him. Why? Because the presence of his father is stronger than the fear of the crowd. In the same way, when we hold on to God, when we make Him our anchor, the world can be chaotic, but we remain calm. We may still hear the noise, but the noise doesn't control us. Anchoring yourself in God doesn't mean you escape life's challenges. It means you face them with a different strength. For example, imagine you lose an opportunity you were waiting for, maybe a job, a promotion, or even a relationship. Most people collapse under disappointment, but someone anchored in God will say, if it didn't happen, perhaps it was protection, not rejection. Maybe there is a better path ahead that I cannot see now, but God can. This trust transforms pain into patience and failure into faith. We all know people who get upset at the smallest things. Someone cuts them off in traffic and they shout. Someone doesn't return a call and they fume. Someone disrespects them and they lose sleep. Why does this happen? Because their peace is fragile based on circumstances. But when you are anchored in God's presence, you don't let small disturbances control your state of mind. You realize the world cannot dictate your emotions. Only you, with God's strength, can. Think about a tree with deep roots. Even if a storm comes, the branches may sway, But the tree doesn't fall. Why? Because its roots go deep into the soil. In the same way, when your roots are deep in God, through prayer, meditation, gratitude, and remembrance, storms of life may shake your surface, but they cannot uproot your soul. In practical life, anchoring in God can be as simple as starting the morning with silence, gratitude, or prayer. Before the world's noise enters your heart through notifications, emails, or arguments, take a moment to connect with the divine. That small practice builds inner armor for the day. You'll notice that the same problems which once irritated you start looking smaller because you are standing taller in spirit. Anchoring also means surrendering control. Many of us suffer because we try to control everything: people's opinions, outcomes of our efforts, and the timing of results. But the truth is, control is an illusion. You can control your effort, not the result. You can control your attitude, not the weather. You can control your character, not the way others treat you. Anchoring in God means trusting His wisdom when things don't go your way. It's telling yourself, I may not understand this now, but one day I will see why it happened this way. That surrender itself is freedom. Another daily example: imagine two students preparing for an exam. One studies with fear, worrying constantly about the result, stressed by the possibility of failure. The other studies with the same effort, but with faith, anchored in the thought that I will do my best and leave the rest to God. Both work hard, but one carries anxiety while the other carries peace. Which one do you think performs better? The one who is free inside. That is the power of anchoring yourself in God. You give your best without being chained by fear. When you live this way, something beautiful happens. People notice your calmness. They see you not reacting the way others do. They see you smiling in pressure, standing tall in setbacks, radiating light in darkness. And without you saying a word, your life becomes a message. You become a living example of what it means to walk with God. So, my friends, the lesson is simple yet powerful: anchor yourself in God's presence. Let Him be your center, your grounding, your silent strength. Because when you are connected to the divine, no criticism can wound you, no success can intoxicate you, and no storm can uproot you. Like the ocean's depth, you remain calm. Like the rooted tree, you remain strong. And like the child holding the Father's hand, you remain fearless. That is the power of living as if nothing affects you. One of the greatest traps human beings fall into is the desire to be accepted by everyone. We live in a world where opinions change faster than seasons. Today, people may praise you. Tomorrow, the same people may criticize you. If you depend on their words for your peace, your life will be nothing more than a roller coaster of emotions, sometimes flying high with joy, sometimes sinking low in despair. But here is the truth: people's opinions are temporary, and they are never a true reflection of your worth. Detaching yourself from them is the beginning of real freedom. Think about it for a moment. If 10 people see you at the same time, will all of them have the same opinion about you? Some will admire you, some will misunderstand you, some will envy you, and some will not even notice you. The same person is being looked at, but 10 different stories are being told. Which one is correct? The answer is none of them completely. Because no one truly knows the depth of your heart, your struggles, or your intentions. They see only a fragment of you and speak from their own perspective. So why should your peace depend on their half-blind judgment? There is a story of a wise man and his student. They were walking through a village with a donkey. The wise man rode the donkey while the student walked. People started whispering, "Look at this man, so selfish. He makes the young boy walk while he enjoys the ride." Hearing this, the wise man asked the student to ride while he walked. Again, people murmured, "What a shame. Look at this boy, no respect for his elder. He rides while the old man walks." The wise man then suggested they both ride the donkey. The crowd now shouted, "How cruel! Two people on one poor donkey, they will kill it." Finally, they both got down and walked beside the donkey. This time people laughed. "How foolish! They have a donkey, but neither of them rides it." The wise man then smiled at his student and said, "See, no matter what you do, people will always have something to say. If you live by their opinions, you will never live in peace." This story reflects daily life. Someone buys a new car and people say, "They're showing off." The same person doesn't buy one and people say, "He is unsuccessful." A woman speaks her mind and people say, "She's arrogant." If she stays silent, they say, "She's weak." No matter what you do, tongues will wag. So why allow their ever-changing voices to control your emotions? When you detach from temporary opinions, you begin to live authentically. You start asking yourself not, "What will they think of me?" but instead, "What does God think of me? What do I think of myself when I am alone?" This shift is powerful because the opinion of the divine and your own inner conscience are far more important than the applause or criticism of the world. Take a daily life example. Imagine you are working on a project at your job or school. You put in long hours, you give your best, but one colleague says something negative. Instantly, your mind forgets all the effort, all the compliments, and only clings to that one criticism. Does this sound familiar? That is the power we give away when we live attached to opinions. But if you train yourself to detach, you smile at the criticism, reflect if there's something useful in it, and then let it go. You don't carry it like a heavy stone in your heart. Detachment doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean, "I don't care about anyone." It means caring deeply, but not being controlled. It means you listen with openness, but don't allow others' words to become your identity. It means using opinions as mirrors, not as cages. If someone's feedback helps you grow, accept it. If it comes from jealousy, insecurity, or ignorance, leave it. Not every stone thrown at you deserves to be carried. Think of a river. It keeps flowing no matter how many stones are thrown into it. The stones may create ripples for a while, but they cannot stop the river's journey. Your life should be like that river. Opinions may create ripples in your mind, but if you are detached, you keep moving, flowing towards your destination, untouched by temporary disturbances. Another example, many young people today feel pressured by social media. One picture, one post, and suddenly they are worried. How many likes? How many comments? What will people think? This addiction to approval creates stress and emptiness. But when you detach from it, you begin to live for real joy instead of digital validation. You realize that your happiness is not in numbers on a screen, but in the depth of your connection with God, with yourself, and with real relationships. Detaching from opinions is also an act of courage. Because the moment you stop living to please others, you might upset some people. They are used to you adjusting, pleasing, and bending. But remember, the world doesn't remember those who lived safely in the shadows of others' approval. The world remembers those who walk their path fearlessly, even if criticized at first. Every great leader, every great thinker, every great soul faced opposition. But they stood tall because they were anchored in their principles, not in applause. So, when you hear voices around you, One praising, another criticizing. Pause for a moment and remind yourself, these are just passing winds. They don't define me. I am defined by my actions, my character, and my connection to God. When you live this way, the chains of public opinion break, and you walk freely, confidently, and peacefully. My friends, learn to detach from temporary opinions. Because at the end of the day, the world will keep talking, but only you will live with yourself. Choose to live with dignity, with authenticity, and with peace. And let the voices of others pass like echoes in the distance, while you walk your journey with the steady voice of God guiding you within. Life is not what happens to us, life is how we choose to deal with what happens. Two people can face the exact same situation, yet one collapses in anger and frustration, while the other rises with calmness and wisdom. The difference lies in a simple truth. Some people react while others respond. Reactions are quick, emotional, and uncontrolled. Responses are thoughtful, wise, and aligned with higher values. The ability to respond rather than react is a mark of inner strength, and it is one of the most powerful habits we can cultivate. Reactions often come from the ego. They are like sparks from dry wood, fast, fiery, and destructive. For example, imagine someone insults you in public. The natural reaction is to fight back with harsher words, to defend your pride, to prove yourself right. In that heated moment, we forget that harsh words can never be taken back. A reaction may satisfy the ego for a few seconds, but it leaves behind wounds, broken trust, and regret. On the other hand, a response is different. It comes after a pause, after breathing, after thinking, what is the wisest way to deal with this? Instead of attacking back, you may choose silence, or you may choose gentle words that disarm the situation. A response is not weakness, it is strength, because it shows you are not a slave to your emotions. Think of boiling water. If you throw tea leaves in it, it turns into a soothing drink. If you throw an egg in it, the egg hardens. If you throw a potato in it, the potato softens. The same boiling water produces different results depending on what you put into it. In the same way, the heat of life's challenges is the same for all of us. But your outcome depends on how you deal with that heat. Reacting makes you hard and bitter. Responding makes you wise and resilient. Let's take a simple example from daily life. You are driving in traffic and suddenly someone cuts you off. If you react, you honk, shout, maybe even chase them, carrying anger the whole day. But what have you gained? Only stress. If you respond, you smile and think, maybe they are rushing to the hospital. Maybe they are in a hurry for something important. That response not only saves your peace, but also prevents the situation from escalating. It costs nothing to remain calm, but it costs everything to lose control. Another powerful example is in family life. A child spills milk on the floor. If the parent reacts, they shout, "Why can't you be careful? You always make mistakes." The child grows fearful, ashamed, and distant. But if the parent responds, they calmly say, "It's okay, accidents happen. Let's clean it together." The same situation, but the outcome is completely different. One destroys confidence, the other builds connection. This is the power of responding. Responding doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means mastering them. Think of a skilled musician playing an instrument. The strings are tight, but he knows exactly how much pressure to apply to create music instead of noise. In the same way, emotions are natural, but wisdom teaches us how to play them without letting them turn into destructive noise. A great way to practice responding is to create a pause between the stimulus and your action. When someone hurts you, pause before replying. When something goes wrong, pause before deciding. That small pause is where wisdom enters. In that pause, you ask yourself, if I act now, will I regret it later? If I speak now, will it bring peace or pain? Most regrets in life come because we did not pause, we reacted instantly. But most growth in life comes because we paused, reflected, and then responded with clarity. We can learn this from nature too. When the wind blows strongly, trees do not fight back violently. They bend gracefully. And when the storm passes, they stand upright again. That is the response. If the trees reacted with stiffness, they would break. Similarly, in life, when storms of anger, criticism, or negativity come, we don't need to break or fight. We can bend with humility, stay calm, and rise stronger when the storm passes. Responding also means seeing the bigger picture. Sometimes, someone's harsh behavior has nothing to do with us. A colleague may be rude because they are carrying stress from home. A stranger may be unkind because they are fighting invisible battles. If we react, we add fuel to their fire. But if we respond with understanding, we become part of their healing. By choosing to respond wisely, we not only protect our peace, but also bring peace to others. In the workplace, this skill becomes even more valuable. Suppose your boss criticizes your work unfairly. A reaction would be to argue, to prove yourself right instantly, but that could harm your career. A response would be to listen calmly, reflect later, and then respectfully clarify your side. Not only do you preserve dignity, but you also gain respect. People remember those who carry calmness in chaos. When you respond instead of react, you live from the higher self, not the lower self. You live from wisdom, not from impulse. And most importantly, you live closer to God. Because the essence of spirituality is control over the mind and emotions. Anyone can react. Animals do that by instinct. But a human being blessed with consciousness has the power to choose. To choose peace over anger, understanding over judgment, calmness over chaos. So the next time life tests you, remember this. Reacting may give temporary satisfaction, but responding gives permanent peace. Reacting may win an argument, but responding wins hearts. Reacting may show power for a moment, but responding shows strength for a lifetime. If you can master this art, nothing outside can disturb you, because you carry the strength to deal with everything inside. That is the true meaning of living as if nothing affects you, not because situations stop happening, but because you no longer allow them to control your actions. You rise above them with calmness, with wisdom, and with dignity. Every challenge in life is like a hidden teacher wrapped in difficulty, but carrying a lesson meant to shape us. Too often, when we face problems, our first instinct is to ask, why me? We see challenges as punishments, as misfortunes, as things that should not be happening to us. But if we look deeply, we realize that challenges are not here to destroy us, they are here to build us. They are divine lessons, carefully placed on our path to help us grow, to test our patience, to strengthen our faith, and to make us into the person we are meant to become. Think of gold. Before it shines beautifully in a ring or necklace, it has to go through fire. That fire is not there to burn it, but to purify it, to remove the impurities, and to reveal its true value. In the same way, challenges are the fire of life. They may hurt us, they may feel unbearable, but they are purifying us, shaping us, and revealing the strength we didn't know we had. Let's take an example from daily life. Imagine a student preparing for an important exam. The long hours of study, the stress, the sacrifices, all of these feel like challenges. But when the exam is over and the student succeeds, the struggle suddenly makes sense. Without that pressure, without those sleepless nights, without those tough moments, the success would not have been possible. Life is like that exam. Every challenge prepares us for something greater, even if we cannot see it right now. Sometimes challenges come in the form of failure. You try your best, but things don't go your way. Maybe you don't get the job you applied for, or a business deal falls apart, or a relationship ends. In that moment, it feels like the world is collapsing. But look closer, perhaps that failure was protection. Maybe that job would have led you down a path of misery. Maybe that relationship would have drained your soul. Sometimes rejection is actually redirection. God closing one door so that you can walk through another, better one. If we only complain, we miss the lesson. But if we embrace it, we realize that the divine is guiding us through challenges, even when it hurts. Consider the story of a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. A man once saw the butterfly fighting and decided to help by cutting the cocoon open. The butterfly came out easily, but its wings were weak and it never learned to fly. Why? Because the struggle of pushing through the cocoon was the very process that gave strength to its wings. Without the struggle, it could not survive. In the same way, our struggles are strengthening our wings. Without them, we cannot grow into the strong, wise, compassionate beings we are meant to be. Look at your own life. Think about a difficult moment from your past. At that time, it may have felt unbearable. But today, when you look back, you can see how it made you stronger, more mature, more resilient. The very thing you once prayed would end became the very thing that shaped you. This is why embracing challenges is so powerful. When you stop resisting and start learning, every problem becomes a blessing in disguise. In relationships too, challenges play a divine role. Misunderstandings, conflicts, and disappointments can be painful, but they teach us patience, communication, and forgiveness. Without challenges, love would remain shallow. It is the tough times that reveal whether a bond is real or not. Just like fire tests gold, challenges test relationships. They show us what is genuine and what is not. Challenges also bring humility. When everything goes our way, we may start to think we are in control, that we don't need anyone, not even God. But when life shakes us with unexpected pain, we are reminded that we are human, limited, and dependent on a higher power. Challenges bend us, sometimes even break us, but in that breaking, our ego softens and our soul becomes receptive to divine guidance. Many people find God not in comfort, but in crisis. The tears of difficulty often wash our eyes so we can see more clearly. Take a practical example. Imagine a person who loses their job. At first, it feels like the end of stability. Bills pile up, fear creeps in. But instead of drowning in despair, this person embraces the challenge as a lesson. They take the time to develop new skills, to explore their passions, and to connect more deeply with family. A few months later, they start a business that gives them both income and joy. Looking back, they realize losing the job was not a curse, but a blessing. It was life's way of pushing them towards something better. This is how we must approach every challenge, not with fear, but with faith. Not with despair, but with determination. Instead of asking, why me? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That small shift in perspective turns pain into power. Even in the darkest times, remember that every night